Hi everyone, we're back for our podcast. This is Veronique and with Sylvia. How are you today, Sylvia?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, thank you. We have a guest. So today we're talking with Priscilla Campos. She's a spiritual teacher and she's going to tell us a little bit about what she does. She's also a high priestess and a queen of Atlantis. So, hi Priscilla, how are you today?
Thank you. Blessings, everybody. I'm mostly well. I said I'm dealing with a little bit of a cold, but I said colds are to me about detoxing. So I'm detoxing some energy. It makes sense. We're in filming today during or recording during the solar eclipse.
Yes.
In a Mercury retrograde. So
Exactly.
Lots of detoxing to happen. But always an honor to talk to more beautiful women and just bring our voices forward. For me as a spiritual teacher, I used to be a dance teacher and I thought I loved it until I started opening up into my spirituality. And I'm just a teacher at heart, so I can't help but share the knowledge that I gain and that I remember. And I just love to help people understand that they're much more ancient than they know, that they're much more powerful than they believe. And there's a lot of wisdom that comes through when we connect to our own inner light. So I teach a large variety, but almost all of my teachings go back to Atlantis, which is amazing because it's literally connected to everything we do within this realm. So I always love questions. I always love when I get to talk about Atlantis. So trust me, who's ever tuning in, you will get a lot of knowledge. A lot of things will come through, and you just sit back and enjoy and see what stimulates you and what activates you.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions, of course, about Atlantis. When I saw your post, on Facebook, I was like, okay, what is this? Because I've always been fascinated with Atlantis and the story there and, all the thing people talk about. They don't really know what happened, back in the day. So they always, they don't make up things, but they always find, ancient ruins and things like that. And they're like, okay, that happened. They existed at that time. And after they got the water rose up and they disappear. I mean, we don't really know what happened, but so when I saw your profile, I was like, okay, yeah, I need to talk to her. So you just mentioned you were a dancer. So can you tell us a bit about your background, your family, and also
I'm a Canadian. I grew up in a small town, and I grew up in a family that loves dance. Not the way I trained in dance, but they just love dance and they love music. And my parents are very creative. They're artists. They're not professional artists, but they are artists. And they just wanted to put me in something that gave me confidence. And so I think actually dance really relates to what I do now, because as you know, when you walk into the role of being a spiritual teacher, and in particular the role that I carry with Atlantis, it can put you in, it can make other people uncomfortable, and it can make you question yourself. But I have a lot of confidence from being on stage many hundreds of times. So to me, what I wear, they're not costume pieces. They're not, it's not stage. It is just showing my authentic self, but I'm not afraid to be my authentic self. I think growing up, I had a very harsh older brother that made me be strong, and very supportive older sister that really backed me up. So I chose a family that was both going to challenge and support me, which they continue to do. And I was raised in a Catholic tradition, which what I do now makes my parents a little bit uncomfortable, even though they've come very far away in the last 10 to 11 years. But it's like kind of breaking down the programming of my family unit. We all have different kind of programming. And I loved dance for a very long time. I started dancing when I was 5. I retired at 37, 38. I still choreograph. I have 2 young daughters that are competitive dancers, so I still choreograph for them. I'm a full-time dance mom as well. But dance has so many amazing things besides being a professional dancer. There's so many things it teaches you: dedication, commitment, time management, flexibility, intention. So I think everything I learned in owning a dance studio transfers over to what I do now, because there's very little things that bother me. Dance moms can be, or dance parents can be, quite crazy and wild. So when you've been told all these terrible things about yourself for a long time, it no longer phases you. So I just I believe in myself, and I believe in what I perceived my mission to be, and I just have a lot of fun doing what I do.
Were you like those dance men we saw on TV? You know that what's her name? That famous dance
I have
mom.
a few dance moms like that. That's not the
Yes.
majority of people I interacted with, but there's definitely some truth to that show. Like
Yeah.
some truth, and then it's exaggerated for
Yeah,
television,
yeah.
right?
It was really
Yeah.
entertaining. I mean, my daughter was obsessed with that show for a while. So to go back to your spiritual side, so in your website you talk about Reiki,
Yes.
and a lot of people are really interested in Reiki. So, and you had a Reiki session back in 2003. So, what led you to start Reiki?
Yeah, it was in 2013.
13, sorry.
Right when you're in between competition season as a dance teacher and recital season. And it's a lot of work. Like I'd say I worked 80 hours a week easily, raising 2 young daughters. That would have been 1 and 3 at that time. I had multiple pregnancy losses in between those children. And I was just I felt like I was fracturing. I felt like I said to myself, I don't know how people go crazy, but I'm getting close. I'm about to lose it. Like I had so much pressure in my head that I felt like it was like something was just going to crack. And then I was like, that's it. I'm going to lose it. And my sister recommended Reiki. Now this happened to be around the exact same time that my mother-in-law was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And it was just a lot happening. So I went to my first session of Reiki, and it literally changed my life, which I know for a lot of people, they do say that. And for some people, I didn't feel anything. But because I had gone through a very, 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 very difficult pregnancy loss in 2011, where I had a daughter who I lost at 16 weeks. And I was very, very connected to her. I loved this baby like as much as I love my children now. And I was very confused about what happened to her because of my Catholic upbringing, because I didn't have her baptized. My parents said that she was in like baby limbo, baby hell.
I don't believe in this.
I know. And it stressed me out. It stressed me out a lot. And so when I had my first Reiki session, the Reiki master that was giving me a healing, she saw my baby on my shoulder. And I didn't talk to her about it. And I held her name was Talia, and I held Talia when she ascended. I held her to my heart. And at that time, I remember thinking she's the size of an apple. And that apple is very key because the Reiki practitioner was like, I see a baby on your shoulder who's the size of an apple. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she's like, she wants to let you know that she's not anywhere but with you. And that it took away so much guilt and fear. And then she also mentioned about the chaos in my head. And she said I had she's like, half of your brain, she's like, Priscilla, you're so confusing. I said, why? She goes, because half your brain is like 1,000 thoughts, 1,000 sentences, 1,000 things you have to do. She's like, what is that chaos? I said, that's my dance studio. And she's like, that's not healthy for you. This is my life. And then she goes, and the other half, she goes, is pure light. I said, what does that mean? She's like, you're supposed to be a healer. What? No. I'm a dance teacher. I'm going to teach dance till I'm in my 80s. And she's like, well, that's what it's showing me. And I just left that session like bewildered. Number one, that I had proof that life exists outside of the earth realm, right? And number two, that religion had tried to teach me or scare into me wasn't true. There's greater truths out there. And then to know that there was a part of me that wanted to help people in a different way, because I was helping a lot as a teacher. I was helping to raise people's children. I was creating a strong community. I was traveling with people all over the world, my students. But to do it in a greater capacity, it just coincided because then when my mother-in-law got cancer, after like about 4 or 5 months of watching her suffer, I wanted to learn Reiki so I could help her. And so I did. And, 2014, I got my level 1. In 2015, I got my level 2. And she ended up passing, but I did see her about once a week. And I just got to know her in deeper ways because we had that time together, and I got to provide her some relief from the pain she was having through the chemo and everything. And it was just all rolled into one. The ascension of my daughter, the Reiki session, the ascension of my mother-in-law. It was all perfectly designed, I think, by my soul to help me start to awaken. And that's what I've noticed with other people, is that usually there's some kind of trauma that gets you to start to question that there must be something more to living on earth than paying bills and working.
Yeah, I relate on two levels. So for the trauma, I do Bikram yoga, and one of the teachers told me a lot of people, they start Bikram yoga because they had a lot of trauma in their lives that helped them. And when you were talking about your late miscarriage, yeah, I went through that also, like 20 weeks, and it was really traumatizing. So as women, we, I think most women go through miscarriages. And it's always something very hard to go through. And I'm very happy that your sister mentioned you about Reiki, because I never heard about Reiki before a few years ago. I didn't even know it existed. I never had a session. Maybe I need to start and see, what it can do for me. But yeah, I mean, so what you talk about, that was your first experience with the Reiki masters, and that's what changed the course of your life, you would say.
Yes, because she had mentioned something about Egypt, which is not uncommon. I think a lot of us have lifetimes in Egypt, but I was fascinated with Egypt and Greece, and she just said, like, you're going to teach about Egypt. And again, I was like, that's weird. And so when I left, she just planted that seed. And so, I just started reading books, started learning how to share Reiki. And through that process, I think I just did my own education. And I still owned the studio. So that was like 2013 to 2016. And then I went to Bath, England, where there's a statue head of the goddess Athena there, also known as Minerva. And I have journals like I do now. I always carry a journal with me. And as I was walking past her, I'm like 3 years into my spirituality. I think I'm able to just talk to my guides and receive messages. And so I look at her and I'm like, do you have a message for me? And she's like, of course. And this goddess I've loved since I was 11. Okay. Since I learned about Athens, Greece, I've always loved Athena. And she wrote that I was going to go back to Greece, because I've been once before prior to that. And it would be a whole different experience for me. And it was going to happen in a much quicker time frame than I thought. And so this was like August of 2016. And in that space, I sold my studio. I quit my job.
Wow.
And I was in Greece in August of 2017 by myself. My husband cared for my children. And I learned about Atlantis because Athena came back to me in January of 2017. I hadn't sold my studio yet. And she said, your life is about to change, Priscilla. She's like, you need to start learning about Atlantis. And I was very dismissive. I said, why? Who cares? I'm like, what's Atlantis? Is just like some lost city people talk about. Like, what do I care? And she's like, because she's like, you're going to understand why you love Greece and Egypt so very much. And so I started studying about Atlantis. I read about 4 books in a span about 4 months. And I consumed them. Like, it was just like, oh. So when I went to Greece, this time in a more awakened state, every temple felt like home. Every rock, every tree, every frequency of a god or goddess called me back home. Every statue I had a connection to. It was probably one of the most beautiful 2-week periods of my entire life. And I stopped being afraid. I stopped being afraid of what people thought of me, because I would meditate and people would be like, oh, what are you doing? Channeling a message? I'm like, yeah, it's from Apollo and you're disturbing me, So I just stood my ground, and I had my Reiki level 2 at that time. And I had life-changing experiences there. And then that, because I sold my studio, I opened a healing space in my house. I started on a path of acceleration, I say, because my guides teased me at the end of 2017. They're like, so Priscilla, you have your level 2 Reiki. I said, yeah, I sure do. They're like, what else you got? Oh, okay. So in 2 year span, I got like my level 3, my master's in Usui, my master's in Karuna, my master's in Atlantean and crystal healing. I did Atlantean healing in Texas. I did Egyptian shamanism. I took every course that I could afford, traveled to, bought a book from, and I just dove in. And so I started teaching Reiki in 2018. And once you teach something, I think it really actually helps you understand the concepts in deeper ways. That's actually how I learn, is by teaching. I don't learn by learning. So it's really interesting, and it's just never stopped. And all it's done is like I had like a very wide thing of things I was offering, and in the last year and a half, 2 years, it's really centered back down to Atlantis, because that's what my soul wants me to do on this planet, is to really heal the trauma from Atlantis.
And how do you communicate with Athena or with your guides? Is it through meditation, or they just come like you channel? They go through you, like you're running errands, or it doesn't really matter?
Yeah.
How is that?
I feel blessed because I don't ever get inundated with things. I have to be tuned into something to hear it. And my greatest skill still remains hearing, and it's just like a knowingness. I didn't used to have strong visuals. I've never seen Athena, but I just know, like, I know when an energy comes in, I know that's Ganesh. I know that's Zeus. I know that's an Arcturian. I know that's Mother Mary. I know it's Yeshua. There's just these signatures that each being has. So I just hear it, and then I always write it. And that's why I probably have like 30 to 40 journals behind me of messages that I've written. I'm assuming at some point they might want to be a book of some kind of wisdom that wants to come through. But that's my gift, and I really like it, because I know a lot of people are bombarded with frequencies, or they can't sleep, or they see a lot of things, and I've never had that. So I said my soul designed the perfect gifts for me to enjoy. And even when I meet people, because I do a lot of readings, I love I call them Atlantean Akashic activations, which is an Akashic reading but with a little bit Atlantean magic in it. And people just say, well, do you know me? No, man, I don't know you. But if I read for you, if I get to be in connection with your soul, I'll understand if I know you. But I figured, like, even with yourself, ladies, if somehow you're drawn to me, or to my picture, or my voice, or my bio, it's because we know each other from somewhere, and we're here to continue to do the work. And I feel honored by it. I love connecting with all these wonderful people across our realm that know who they are, or almost know who they are, and it's like I get to drop in a little bit of crystal magic, and then all of a sudden they're stepping up. It's beautiful.
Wow, that's amazing. And now that after you decided to become a healer and work, like, completely change careers, how did it feel with the family dynamics? Did it improve? You felt like, handling your daughters, husband and everything.
Yeah.
How has it changed for you?
One of the things that made me change was that my healing office used to be my dance office, right? Because I still worked from home a lot on administration stuff. And my smallest daughter, who was, let me think, she would have been turning 4. She was 4 around that time. I was in the middle of doing a lot of planning, recital planning, editing music, all this stuff. And she came into my office and said, Mommy, can you read me a story? And I said, no, I don't have time to read you a story. I have this and this and this and this and this to do. And her face got so sad when she walked out of my office. And I thought, how many times have I done this to my daughters? How many times have I picked my 300 students over my 2 daughters, right? So I had to sit with that. And then I realized I actually wasn't happy. Even though I loved what I did, I felt like I was a really good mom to 300 students, and actually like probably 1,000 students over 20 years or more. But I didn't think being a really good mom to my own daughters. And so when I sold the studio and I had my first healing session at home in my room, I felt like I was free. And then I could do the things with my daughters. And that's part of what I do now is because of my personal beliefs, in 2020, I wouldn't mask my children. So we pulled them from the public school system, which is what my oldest wanted the whole time. She always wanted me to homeschool her. And I said I didn't have time. And so in 2020, I switched those gears, and I'm a part of a homeschooling co-op, which means that they go to school with other kids some days, and some days they're home with me. And we're really happy. And every Friday we get to cuddle and have breakfast together and watch a movie or go for a walk. These are things that I could only do in my off season. So I feel like I became the mother that they needed. I feel like I was always a good wife, but I do appreciate that I just have more time for my husband. You know, because being a dance teacher, you work at night all the time. So you work during the day on your business, and then at night you go and teach. So I would see my husband at like 10:30 at night, you know, 10:30 to 11 before maybe he fell asleep. It would take me a while to wind down. And then I would see him like on some Sundays if I wasn't working. So I would say our relationship, it just felt more connected. And I kind of missed out on some of those baby stages because I was working so much, and that I think everything is how it was supposed to be, but I have small regrets, you know, so that's why I do my best to be really present with my kids now. And I ask them to check me if I'm doing too much work, if I'm on my phone. Like, I really like to listen to them. Do you know what I mean? Like, when we have dinner, we have dinner. When we're in the truck going to dance, they read me books. You know, that's part of our learning. We talk about things. We joke around. I feel like they're my friends, my really beautiful friends. And I hope I improve on the parenting that I received, because as we know, our parents have a lot of trauma, but they don't necessarily work on their trauma. So it just gets thrown on us. And I do my best not to have the trauma that I was a part of go on to my girls. So the comment I received the most about them is that they're abnormal because they're such angels. Like they have an incredible relationship. They're so kind. They don't scream. They don't, do you know what I mean? Like, we don't have any fights in our house. It's a very peaceful house. So I think it's the best compliment. Like, sometimes they're like, your kids are weird. I said, why? Because they never fight. I'm like, well, they disagree. They don't agree on everything, but they don't fight and get mad at each other. I'm like, well, what would be the point be though? You know, I don't do the same with them either. I'm stern when I need to be. Like, they're not wild children, but I think because I raised them in love and they have their own gifts. One of them is very empathic. The other one is very psychic. So I encourage them. I help them, but I don't make them do anything. Do you know what I mean? If we want to connect to angels this day, cool. If we want to go for a walk in the forest and see if we can spot dragons or unicorns, awesome. If they don't want to do any of that and they just want to like watch a movie, no problem. You know, so they're great teachers because they forced me to slow down. And they still force me to slow down because I think I operate in a divine masculine way as much as I don't want to all the time. I think I'm just trained like go, 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 go. And they're that reminder of like, Mommy, we're so tired. Can we just relax today? Can we just cook something together today? Yes, let's do that. You know?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of women are in this go, go, go mode. And there's also that culture of, if you're saying you're busy, it's a good thing, which I don't get it. Why that would be a good thing to be constantly busy, not having time for your family, not having time for anything, like going out to work at 8 a.m., coming back home at 6 and barely seeing your kids. It's just like those precious moments that you have together. This years go by so fast. Next thing you know, they're already going to college, and then what? Like, you're working so hard, you're just so busy all the time that you didn't have those precious moments. Like you're saying about the phone, which is a big thing. Like, just disconnect. Let's like pay attention to them because they just want our attention, and a lot of times we forget to connect. So yeah, it's a very good point.
It feels so good though when we do, right? Like when we look back, and I try to take them on vacation twice a year. If it's in my financial ability to do so, I like to vacation twice a year. And one is more for my husband and one is more for the girls. So my husband likes tropical, let's not do a lot vacations. my kids like exploring or they like theme park kind of stuff. So I just make it a point to be there with them. And even though my work is, I can take my work where I go, I do my best to have everything set up so I can have that full 10 days, 2 weeks off. Maybe I have to teach one class, but they're already 14 and 12. It's gone by, as we know, like that. And they just kind of finished their childhood part. Like all their toys have, they kind of were going away, but now they're done. And I don't know, I'm on to the next phase. And I love being a dance mom because I think I'm a good dance mom. I'm not the crazy dance mom. So being a dance mom when you're a former dancer, it's so rewarding to watch your kids gain the confidence and understand what they're capable of. So now I'm their biggest cheerleader, I'm their choreographer, I'm their momager, as I say, I'm their taxi driver. I love it. I would never change it.
How did you find out about their gift? Do you think they were influenced by your new calling, or one day you just saw one of them talking to an angel in the backyard?
My oldest one started talking about angels when she was 2, which I wasn't awake at that age. So I didn't wake up till 2011, and she would have been 2013. She would have been 2 in 2011. So she started talking about angels then, and she could see people's auras, and she would talk about different people's colors. And so as time went on, I'd say, well, what color is my aura today? And I would know what my own health was based on what she would see too, right? So that was nice. And then my little one, I didn't really figure out for a while until I had 3 clients in a row come in who were very empathic. And I was describing the difficulties my child was having in school. And they're like, that's exactly like I was. And then like 3 days later, I got another client and they said that's how I was. And I'm like, oh my God, this child is empathic. So, kindergarten was okay for her in preschool. But when she went to grade 1 without me for 6.5 hours a day, she was overwhelmed by the energies of everyone. And she has big energy and big emotion. She has been a force. I believe that the Talia that left me at 16 weeks, Milan is named for her. Her middle name is Talia. And I really believe that she has part of Talia's energy, because this child has been like 2 children in one forever. And to know how big her emotions are, and then to watch her shrink and have such a hard time at school, it was a gift that I think God brought me, that I had these clients that were mirroring to me, this is what happened. So for her, and then in 2020 was when COVID started, to have her home with me, that's what she wanted. They just wanted to be with me, right? They didn't want to be away from me. Like our old schedule was leave the house at 7:45, take them to school, pick them up from school at 3:20, drive them straight to dance, pick them up again at 9 o'clock, come home.
Oh, yeah.
So they had no time together and no time with me or their father. And that's one of the things they love the most. Like they just finished competition on last night. They had 3 hours of homeschool this morning, and now they're chilling right now, and they get to rest a lot. Whereas a lot of kids are like have exams to write and reports, and do you know what I mean? Like they both love dance and the arts. This is what they want to do, so I'm here to support it. And I think rest is so important. So tomorrow I'm teaching one short class. And then we're just going to, I don't know, whatever we want to do some math and probably go outside.
It's good to have a good balance. Definitely.
Yeah. It took me a long time to find it. Yeah. It wasn't automatic. Yeah. And I think I made a lot of what I would think are mistakes,
But sometimes, like you said, it takes a big crisis, or maybe not going all the way to rock bottom, but something happened in your life, and this is where you said, okay, this is enough, I need to do something else. And
well, I think 2020 is a gift. I think the lockdowns, although I don't like the enforcement of them, I think they forced me to change my life again, to look at, what am I doing? Why are my kids so busy? Why are they away from me all the time? And I remember that lockdown, we did a lot of yoga, meditation, piano, art, violin. We went for walks. Yeah. And I decided, I said, okay, it was in Canada, it was uncertain what they were planning on doing. And once they put that bylaw that to be masking kids as of August, I said, there's no way. There's no way anyone's going to cover up my baby's faces and stop them from breathing. I'm like, no. And, you know, and that switched the whole system. And then I found a lot of moms just like me. And that was great too. And then my kids could be with what I would say are free thinkers, you know, they grew
you
a
found
lot.
your tribe. Yeah. Like you find people who think the same way. Yeah. I mean, those years for me were awful. And I didn't I loved going to the gym and doing classes, and I couldn't do anything. It's just just going for those walks, they were not enough. So yeah, it was a challenge emotionally. Everything is like, wow, what a trial, you know, emotionally to a lot of us. It's just nightmare. I wish I could erase it.
I think the only good thing we got from that for people who were, at that time I was working for corporate, is that we realized, actually, you know what, we can work from home. And after that, nobody wanted to go back to the office.
Oh, nobody wants to go back. Yeah.
Yeah, stuck in traffic and waste all that time, you know, driving. That's the only good thing. I mean, that's one of the good things from 2020 is that we can work from home. So
yeah, and we can do things efficiently in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah,
and be with our families. You know, like a lot of the Nordic countries, I think their kids go to school for 3 hours a day. The schooling is based on what are their interests. Now, to me, this is actually very Atlantean in prospect, which Scandinavia is a colony, many colonies of Atlantis. But in both of them, when a child is born, they have a signature. We would have in Atlantis tuned into that signature very quickly, probably within a month. And then we would have started gathering community that will help them. So if this child is, you know, this child's amazing with their hands and is going to do woodwork or pottery. By the time they're 4 or 5, they're around those people. They're not in a technical school, but you apprentice, and you apprentice in what your soul's desire is. And so you have the basics of anything, you know, math and sacred geometry and understanding languages, but you don't have to dive into anything that's not resonant with your soul. For me, as an artist, as a dancer, as a teacher, as a spiritual teacher, I don't need to know what kind of clouds, I don't need to be tested on what kind of clouds those are. You know, and what the Appalachian Mountains are of Canada. I don't need to know those things, but yet you're graded on it. And, you know, for me, I did really well in school, but a lot of kids are taught that they're dumb. They don't fit in, or they need to be on this drug because you can't focus. But in Atlantis and Scandinavia, it's a short amount of time. And then I think for them, I think they're done, like I said, around 1. They get to play. Their education is being outside with Gaia, right? Being with friends, and then you eat supper together because there's no activities to run to because you've already done your activities. Like if my kid had that kind of schedule, and I would love if they could dance from 12 to 3 or 12 to 4, then we would have family dinners every night, and then they would be resting and in bed a lot earlier, you know, but dance doesn't end till 9:30. So
that's late. And I think also they don't have homework.
Yeah.
Over there. That's the thing.
They don't I think homework. I think it's Sweden and Denmark, they don't believe in homework. They don't believe in standardized tests. Yeah. And that's where I feel like North America, or at least the USA and Canada, it's all about the tests. Oh, you failed it. Oh, you didn't get a good enough mark. Oh, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss out on everything. It's like, I don't know, one test I took that helped me in my life. You know, like I went through university because my parents really wanted me to. I put my degree away when I moved my offices. I'm like, it's not even important to me. I literally don't do anything with it. And even now, my mom wishes I would go back to university to become a professor so I could be a teacher at a university. I said, but I am a teacher in like a university of like my own mystery school. It's really incredible. But you could do it at a university level. But why should I pay for a degree that might cost me like $100,000 to teach people that only want to get into my class for credit so they can go and get their diploma, when I could have people that pay me, no money to the university, pay me to teach them exactly what my soul wants and their soul wants. Like it makes so much more sense to me. But sometimes
when you're talking about this, what you're offering, or the courses you offer, what is because we saw on our website as well about the Temple of Atlantis and the Golden Atlantean healing modality. What is that?
Wow.
It's also interesting.
To me, Golden Atlantean healing comes from the golden era of Atlantis. So it means it's a full embodied experience. It's healing your mind, body, soul, emotional body, mental body. It's a deep connection and sacredness to your ancient self, knowing that you've lived many lifetimes on this realm and others. And it does remarkable things. My clients will always say they feel so peaceful. Sometimes they say that they're floating in water. And then usually within 2 weeks, they're making the same kind of changes that I started making, after my first healing sessions. But for whatever reason, I really believe that my body and my soul emits a golden ray. And the golden ray is a connection to God, to source, to Sophia, to love. And it's always about healing. It's like, it's knowing the power within. So as a healer, we should be very clear. So I don't heal anybody, but I hold the space and I pull things up and I allow that person to see it and feel it. And then they have to realize the work they have to do, right? The person that worked on me, she didn't tell me to quit being a dance teacher. She just said, you're supposed to be a healer. And that was enough for me to be like, why? To be curious about it. So a Golden Atlantean healing is my signature, but I switched offices and I no longer have an in-person space, which that happened in September of just this past year. So now I can only do healings online. And I thought I was going to be sad about it. But honestly, I heal from my bathtub. I share healing with people from my bathtub because I take a hot bath almost every night. And I do them a lot shorter than I used to. And I use my crystals that I'm wearing. And people still love them. And I tried to kind of save that kind of stuff for my students that are really a part of my school and a part of my programming, because it does take a lot of energy from me. Whereas the public, I still have readings open for people. But I think my students devote their time to me. I really want to give them something special,
Yeah.
So now you do only readings online. So people.
Yeah, I have a few clients in Edmonton that are very sad that I no longer see people in person. But you know what? After, what was that, 2017? So after 7 years of having people in and out of my house, which is my personal space.
Yeah.
Now I feel like, again, I'm making a change for my family, because now it's just me and my family space. It's no longer like I do have a really beautiful bathroom downstairs. I have to say it is a temple of Atlantis that my father built for me. And I used to offer women baths in there after, because, a lot of women with young children, you don't have any peace. Kids are always banging on the door. And so it was like a haven for them and they loved it. But now it's just my personal haven, and I still share healings, but nobody else physically is going in there. And it feels really good. I have a cat. I never used to have a cat. I don't want her escaping my house when people come over. They're allergic to her. So
yeah,
there's just some kind of natural change that's happened. And sometimes we grieve the parts that we really like. Like, I love teaching dance. I love the in-person sessions. But now this is where my life is pointing me. And I find once I let go, it always comes into greater abundance and better flow and easier gifts, and I host retreats. And I think for my international students, that's how we get to meet. If you can meet me in Egypt or in Greece, or I'm going to Greece and Turkey this year, if you can meet me there, imagine the joy we're going to have in being physically together. And now I get to put my hands on you and put my crystals on you. It's like, it's anticipation. It's wonderful. And I love those things.
Do you offer any retreats in Canada or US, or it's
yeah.
all the way?
I have one June 6th to the 9th in British Columbia. It's on Vancouver Island. It's called Lemuria Awakening, with one of my soul sisters who was my student. It's our second year running it. Vancouver Island, for those unfamiliar, is an oasis. It's a rainforest. It has ancient cedars. It has the wild Pacific Ocean. It has old, massive rocks. It's not a paradise destination in terms of you go on the beach. It's like hiking and exploring and grounding. So that's the 6th to the 9th. We're actually about 70% sold out. It's open to women and men. I do my best to always include men, because I think there's a lot of things that are only women, and I get it. But we have separate accommodations, for this. So I have one man coming. I would love more men to come, hold that divine masculine. I also, every second year, which I held one last fall, every second year I have a retreat in the Rocky Mountains of Alberta in British Columbia. And there is a chakra system that runs through there. So we go to 7 different locations and we do dips in 6 of them, which is in glacier fed water. It's very cold, but they align to the chakras and we do incredible work. I relate it to Atlantis. It's called Atlantean Water Codes, and it's a small retreat. I keep it between 6 to 8 people max. And I had 5 this last time. I can honestly say all 5 are going through massive transformations in the best of way. Like about every 2 weeks, I'll have one of them message me. This is what I'm feeling like, Priscilla. I can't believe it. My life has been doing this. I'm like, it's because we shed a lot of things. We did it on the equinox, the fall equinox. So those are my 2 kind of more Canadian ones. And then the thing is, my soul likes Atlantis so much. The only other one I have coming up closer is in Mexico, Honduras, Belize, and Guatemala. I want to do it's called Journey Through Aztlan, because that part is very connected to Atlantis. So I just want to go through the ancient temples and pyramids. And I just like ancient stuff, I want to release the ancient stuff because I know we've all been there. I know we have signatures there. Let's go reconnect. Let's see what our soul wants to help us do. So I did my first retreat in Egypt in November. Egypt is so powerful. I understand I'll never take a lot of people at one time there. I'm not that kind of teacher. It has to be 6 to 10 people. But the one I have in Greece and Turkey is also open to women and men. I just started registrations. It's 2 weeks of going through these ancient sites. I like to include downtime. I use a company that I really trust, so it's a private tour, but it's great hotels, amazing bus service. You have a local specialist. You have me, who's kind of sometimes saying that's not really what happened. That's what the history book would say, but now I'm going to tell you this is what our souls are saying. And like I said, Greece is my favorite country in the world. So I can't. To me, it's my most precious home that remains on Earth. Atlantis would be number 1, but Atlantis is not here. But all of its babies are, So Greece is a very beautiful daughter of Atlantis.
So this is how you pick your the locations. Yes, to be ancient and maybe reminds you of Atlantis a little bit.
I just open my heart and I ask my soul, where do I need to go? Where do I need to go for myself? Where do I need to go to help others? And so like my soul is very ambitious. I have like a list of about 15 places, but I said I'm also a mother, so internationally, I think I can travel twice without them. And they're very independent. I've been traveling since they were little. As a dance teacher, I traveled all over the world training and taking students. So they're used to that and it's good. But also I'm as we know, I'm their mom. I want to be with them. So until they are old enough to want to come with me, because they want to come right now, but I'm like, okay, but we're going to be meditating. We're going to be doing this. I'm going to be in work mode. They're like, okay, not if you're going to be in work mode, mommy. I'm like, okay, but like, we'll go to Greece with you anytime. I'm like, okay. So, it's wonderful, but I know like there's so many places that are connected to the ancient past. And I think if you just take your shoes off and you walk on those lands, even if you're not with somebody like me that has this ancient teacher within them, you still get what you need. And it's so magical, right? The first time I went to Greece in 2005, that means I was 8 years from my awakening. I sat in this ancient theater that's right down from the Parthenon. And as I was watching a performance, I was watching the National Hungarian Ballet. And I looked over my shoulder. It was a full moon and the Parthenon was lit up. And I felt this energy go up my back. And when I came back to look at the ballet, I said, I've been here so many times before. Like I could literally feel thousands of people watching different shows with me, on the same marble, or maybe it's not marble, but it's like these beautiful steps, like stone benches. And I could feel the love, and I knew the Parthenon was there, and I was like, this is crazy. I'm having the biggest deja vu. But I had believed in reincarnation my whole life, even though I was taught not to. But it started sparking me. you know? So the first time I went to Greece, I loved it, but I didn't know why I loved it to the extent that I do now. And so this will be my 4th time going. And man, there's no secrets. Like, I'm going to be like, what's up, Apollo? Here's my students. Come give them a divine light activation. Or, you know, Asclepius. Asclepius is the god of medicine, the ancient god of medicine. And I didn't know him very well. I went to his temple and he literally showed me incredible ways to heal that I then learned as a Reiki master, the exact same thing. But that was handed down through different teachers. But here I was in 2017 and Asclepius showed me those things. So it's real. Do you know what I mean? It's real and it's tangible. And Athena telling me back in England in 2016, you're going to go to Greece and your life is about to change. Yeah, I was clueless. I was like, okay, sure, bring it, you know, and it's not an easy path to get where I am, but it is totally worthwhile, you know?
Yeah. I have this little fascination with Turkey. I've been there twice. And I think that's one of the most beautiful country with, that they kept all the ancient, you know,
yes,
city ruins. They have like, I remember going there, they had this full arena and library that was still up from, I don't know, for how many.
It's Ephesus, I think you're thinking of.
Yes,
Ephesus.
yes.
Ephesus.
And I don't know if you've been to Pamukkale.
No, it's on my tour though.
Oh my God. So I don't know if you can still really go there, because I remember that there were so many tourists there. They were afraid that they're going to be, that everything is going to get damaged. But it was a real experience. It was really, really a good experience to just be able to go in there and swim in like columns and ruin, you know, in the water. That was surreal. It's really surreal when you go there. It's really surreal.
I think we're not allowed to swim in it. I think we get to visit it. And then our hotel has a spa that has the same waters from it. That's my understanding. Because I was like, oh, I need to take people there. And like, yeah, you can't swim in it. I'm like, what? I thought I see so many pictures of people swimming in there, but
I think that was before 2000. I went there in the 90s and everybody we could swim in there. But I think after a while they were like, maybe it's too much. That's not, they want to keep it intact. And
I get it. It's just the same. You can't, you know, in Egypt, you can't touch everything because they say the oil from your hands wrecks it. I don't know if it's true, but I get it, because if people keep doing like, what if we all rub the same spot? Do you know what I mean? And then Egypt is probably the biggest tourist location in the world. So they're getting how many millions of people? If everyone does that, it's not going to be there. That, you know. So that's one of the things I loved about Greece. The first time I went, you weren't allowed to take anything or touch anything, and I actually respected it. And then I went to Italy in that same trip, and I was at the Colosseum, and you could do anything you wanted, and I was like, this is weird. Like, why can I do anything I want? I should actually not be able, because kids were running all over and bumping into stuff. And there was, you know, this is like, it's not just Rome's history. It's the world's history. It belongs to the world. Like the pyramids don't belong to Egypt. They belong to the world. So it's all of us. Egypt is just the care holder, you know, or the caregiver. But I respect it. But yeah, Turkey, for those that don't know, because I think Turkey gets a bad reputation, but Turkey's Greek ruins are better preserved than the Greeks.
Than Greece. Yeah. And I told that to Sylvia once. Remember, Sylvia, I told you, if you want to see real ruins, you have to go to Turkey. You're going to be more amazed than in Greece. They conserve it better.
Well,
and I was really surprised.
Yeah, on my tour, if you know the Greek pantheon, there's 12 of them. We're going to 10 spots between Greece and Turkey to their temples. So I can't wait. I cannot wait, because I've only been to Istanbul and then Ephesus. And I always say it wrong. It might be, I think it's Ephesus. But those two places are amazing. But to get to see more of it, I know we're going to Troy. And Troy is also an Atlantean colony. It's very, very Atlantean, like that whole story of Troy and the Iliad. Yeah, that's the story of Atlantis, one of them. So, dang, it's going to be amazing.
I'm going to have to buy a book about Atlantis. I don't know all the details. So you talk about past lives. So I wanted to ask you, do you believe that everyone can remember their past lives? If they really work on it,
some people's
meditate?
Programming is too strong to allow them. to enter
Oh,
that field.
I think I'm one of them.
I grew up thinking about past lives because I always, when I would watch something about Egypt, Rome, or Greece, I would tell my mom I was from there. And she's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You only live in this body. I'm like, no, I'm definitely from there. So I think like there's people like my parents that don't want to open up to it, and you can't make them. But for those of us that are curious, there's so many where we live now, post really 2012. There's so many modalities and spiritual teachers and healers. I mean, there are unfortunately scam artists, but there's also really beautiful people and souls that are helping. I think once you open it up, it's just so fascinating. But we can't live in the past. We can only take the lessons and the growth and the experience and then apply them to now. So, with people in Atlantis, I say we can't go back to that. It's not about that, but it is like, what happened there? What happened in a good or negative way? How does it apply to our life, and what are we going to do about it? So for me, I had a really wonderful role there, and I held space for tens of thousands of people, and I loved them, and I wanted everyone to be happy and free and prosperous and healthy. And that's my duty now. And so that part of me that's ancient, she told me last year when I was in Mexico that my mission would be completed when everybody on Earth was healed from the fall of Atlantis. And I said, whoa. So that's you want me to do that in this lifetime? She's like, no, you've been doing it the whole time. You've been doing it for the last 12,000 years. I said, okay, because that's like a tall order, but I'm also not going to let myself be bogged down by it, because I can't force Atlantis down people's throats, right? Some people are very anti-Atlantean. So I can just be my authentic self. And when I was in Egypt, I don't shy away from the way I dress. I think I'm very moderate today. A lot of times I wear a lot of headpieces if I'm going to be talking about Atlantis. But in Egypt, I didn't shy away. I wore all my headpieces. And I've never taken pictures with so many strangers across the world. People would constantly ask me, where are you from? I say I'm from Atlantis. What? And they and most times it's like, Atlantica? I didn't know people think Atlantis is called Atlantica. Like there's lots of different names for it. So I'm like, yeah, Atlantica. And they said, does everyone look like you there? I'm like, well, I don't know, but this is what we like. We like our crystals, right? We like beautiful clothing. We like to dress how we feel. And I did some healings on random strangers at the Sphinx, on the Nile, in airports. But I took pictures with so many people, and I thought either they love me and they love what I represent, or they're making fun of me. Because there were some teenagers that I felt like were definitely making fun of me. But either way, when they look at that picture, they're going to see the love, and they're going to see somebody that's not afraid to be their authentic self. So very interesting. In Egypt, they couldn't say my name. Priscilla was really difficult for them to say. So by day 2 or day 3, I was like, do you have a nickname? I'm like, yes, it's Atlanta. So Queen Atlanta is my deeper soul's name. And they would be like Queen Atlanta? I said, yeah. Can I call you that? I'm like, of course. So, I was on a Nile cruise for a week, and the whole staff, good morning, Queen. Good morning, Queen Atlanta. What would you like to drink today? Like, I was just in my heyday, and take pictures with kids, and some kids would be so shy, but they're just fascinated and they want to touch your jewels. And I thought I was awakening my students that came with me, because it was Atlantean awakening in Egypt. I thought that's what it was, but it wasn't true. I was awakening the Egyptologists, the people, the service people, the people at the pyramids, at the temples, strangers from all around the world, because people are too scared sometimes to say exactly what they embody. And that's probably the greatest compliment I got on that trip, because I had some tension areas. Not everybody wants an Atlantean queen around, especially not in Egypt. And I had this woman that really, I would say on a past life level, she really hated me, because she hated me in that moment. And she wanted me to back down. She was like, this is a temple of Isis, which is a temple of the Divine Mother, and she's like, where are you from? And she was a security guard there. And I said, I'm from Atlantis. And she's like, what? Where is that, in America? And I said, you forgot?
Atlantic City?
Yeah. I said, you forgot? And her eyes went really big. She's like, you're telling me you're from the ocean? I go, I'm from the ocean. And she got mad, like mad. And she went on her walkie-talkie and she just started calling more guards. And my guide had told me that if I get into any trouble, just to say I was American, because they would have a little bit more respect. But I was like, no, man, I'm from Atlantis. And so anyways, I went and found my guide and he put a stop to that intimidation. But my students said, Priscilla, they're like, even if it looks like you're about to get punished and persecuted, like, you still embodied who you are. And I said, yeah, this is a lifetime I don't get punished. My guides have told me that since the very first month of my awakening. I think because we all have a lot of trauma, especially as women, of different kinds of abuse on this planet, which a lot of our sisters are still going through it. And they want you to stay quiet. They don't want you to be intuitive. They don't want you to recognize that you know what's best for your children. They want you to listen to everything that the government says. And if you can stand strong, in one area, then you can do it in other areas. So my time for punishment on this planet is over. I'm free, and I'm here to awaken people in the best of ways. We don't, not everyone has to be an Atlantean. It's not about being an Atlantean. But I'm going to tell you the good things about Atlanteans is that when we're in alignment with God, we love everybody. We have a thirst for knowledge like nobody else. We strive for perfection, knowing we'll never achieve it, but we love the journey of it. And we will never be satisfied with how something is. It can always be more beautiful, be more in service, be more in tune with Gaia. And that's what I love about Atlanteans themselves. And I identify them very easily because they're also very hard on themselves.
So when you say Gaia, can you explain to people who don't know who that is?
Well, Gaia is the name of the goddess that we live upon. So Mother Earth, her name is Gaia. If people don't know that, it's a real energy. It's not, we don't just live on some surface of some rock. Gaia is an ascended master through billions or perhaps even longer of years that she's trained to become a realm that would house 8 to 9 billion people. Think about how much she loves unconditionally to allow us to dig into her, right? To chop down from her, to build upon her. And she does so like a true mother would. She loves us so deeply. So Mother Earth, Mother Nature, Gaia, whatever we want to call her. I like Gaia. It feels very alive to me when I say that. But we're growing with her. And what's said in the communities, the spiritual communities, that we're coming to a new earth. Gaia has been patiently holding space for us for 4.5 billion years. She's been at this level, and she's ready to graduate. She's ready to come to a place where there's not so many wars on her, and all of her children are fed, and all of her women are safe. So
beautiful.
That's what's happening. We're going through, when people say our world is so much worse, it's about the same as it was when Atlantis sunk. It's a very harsh place. But now we see the truth. Now it's not hidden. It's been hidden for such a long time. Now we're seeing it. So now what are we going to do about it? Are we going to allow it to continue to happen? Like I said, I didn't allow my children to be masked. That's a stand I took. Everyone has a little bit different. But that was something that was important to me. Nobody's going to tell me what my child should and shouldn't wear, when they should wear it, and what they can do, And I think it's one of the reasons they chose me to be their mom in this lifetime, because it gave them a lot of strength, to make decisions. We had to decide at that time, are they going to dance? If you dance, you have to wear a mask. We're not doing that. We will pause. We will pause our training,
breathing,
until we can be free, And it's like I give them the decisions, even with the homeschooling. I don't say you have to do it for the rest of your life. Every year, every June when dance season's over, we evaluate, where are you at? What do you love? What do you want to let go of? What can I do to help you hone in more? One of my oldest daughter wants to be an actress. She's a triple threat right now. She wants to be in musicals. She had her first solo singing. The last 2 weeks she's been singing on stage by herself while she's dancing. It's a huge step for her. My youngest wants to be a professional dancer right now. And as their mother, I will do everything in my power to help them get the training to do that. And then they also have to contribute, right? It can't be me pushing and pulling them. So that's something about a relationship I like, because they know. So I had signed up my daughter for some kind of audition, and she was asking me about it. And then she's like, no, Mom, she's like, that's not what I don't want to do that kind of project. I want to do this and this summer. Oh, great. Okay. Never mind. I'll cancel that, like, because I said I can go all the way because I have the dance background. What do you want to do? Oh, I can put you in everything I can afford. I will put you in. But then they're the ones that are like, we'll pump the brakes. We want to rest. We want to be outside in the summer. Oh, right. Okay. No problem.
We want to be kids a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you actually answered my question. I was going to ask you, I saw that that phrase you put on your website, she's dedicated to helping the collective prepare to birth new. So that's what you just said about the Gaia. Okay.
Yeah.
And the new earth. And okay. That's what you meant.
Yeah. The new earth is what we're all creating now. And it's, as we watch the wars and these terrible things happening to children all over our planet, I think anyone that's a mother, it's not right. And I think by teaching our children more compassion and more understanding, where we help make the new earth, because when my parents were being raised, there was different prejudices, right? So I'm part of my background is I'm indigenous from both Canada and American tribes, but it's forgotten and it's been bleached out and erased. So I can't really have connection to my family in that way. And there was a deep discrimination against Natives in Canada for a very long time, and there's still left over from that. But with my children, I'm trying to show them the higher version, and I think that's what we're doing. So I really believe we're all creating new earth, and when we get there, when we recognize that we've made some progress, we're going to want more, right? When we say no to genocides, no to starvation, no to women being mutilated and all these things, when we stand up collectively, we start making that wave, and then it changes, and then more people are inspired, right? More people stand up. It just takes one person to start making that change. And that's what I say about myself. I won't back down, right? Whatever my beliefs are, it's both a positive and a negative, because people be like, oh God, here goes Priscilla. If it's something, chemtrails, I'm very aware of chemtrails in my area. So I don't stay quiet, but I'm also at a point where I'm not going to shove it down your throat. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you what my truth is, and I'm not going to make apologies for it, but I will no longer knock on your door and tell you why you should be concerned about it, right? You come knock on my door and ask me the question, and I'll be happy to talk about it.
Yeah, that's the right attitude, I think, Be authentic, be yourself. I don't like being just pretend. Everybody assuming you're going to behave a certain way because of you're of a certain color, of a certain nationality. Like, why are you assuming? You don't know me. Right. So I don't think I'm thinking the same way you are, just because of all these stereotypes. And so I'm just like, a lot of people get shocked by not falling into the whole, what they call matrix, or just following to that little box. Yes. I'm sorry, I'm outside the box. You're going to be shocked, and I don't care. Before I was worried too about what to say, but now I'm like, whatever, it is what it is, And well, I think you're actually running out of time. It was so nice talking to you, Priscilla. By the way, do you have any Portuguese background or no? With your
not that I know of. Not that I know of. Campos, my husband, is Salvadorian.
Oh, okay. Because I'm Brazilian, and Campos is very popular last name there.
Really very popular name. I like it.
Yes,
my old last name is Charbonneau, which is French, and it took so long to spell. So
what's your last? Oh, it's French. Is it French Canadian?
Yeah, French Canadian Charbonneau.
Charbonneau.
Oh, Charbonneau. Yeah, so Priscilla Charbonneau was to get government forms, licenses, everything to spell it. People always, it was so long. And Campos is CAMPOS. Done. So
I know we're out of time, but I really wanted to know. I'm sorry. I really want to. What is a prosperity code? I really wanted to know.
What is a prosperity code?
If you can just tell us, in 2 minutes.
A prosperity code is what exists within all of us, because God wants us to be abundant. right?
Okay.
We are all naturally abundant. It's just different people and factors try to show us that we're poor and that we're lack. So when you unlock a prosperity code within yourself, it's like we all have these codes within that store different information. And once you unlock it, you begin to understand that you had everything you needed all along, and it's with your Holy Spirit. And then that's the way to abundance. So I started thinking we don't manifest abundance. We don't manifest prosperity. We are abundance, right? Our hair, our skin cells, our life force, our breath, we are abundance. So once you start to come in alignment with that, then the universe will show you why you're abundant, right? Oh yeah, you're abundant. Great. Here's $100. Here's $5,000. Here's this.
Yes.
It's an alignment. So there's lots of codes within us. That's one. And it just takes you knowing your soul to get to unlock them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I like to hear. Sometimes I'm aligned, sometimes I'm not. So, but when it happens, it's fabulous.
Agreed.
Can you manifest money like this? Or anything else, a job, love, whatever.
Yeah. We all
Good
deserve
kids.
it. We deserve good life on this planet. That's what we're here
Mm-hmm.
for. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. A lot of people need to hear that and be happy for others that are abundant and are like actually, instead of, because if you're jealous, you're never going to get to that level when there is that almost like that guilt of like, why is this person doing well? Or, oh, I shouldn't be doing well. I was talking to Veronique about that. It just should be happy with other people who are doing well. And the more abundant people around you, the better it is. You just spread prosperity all over. So let's be happy.
It's the same field, right? Their abundance is your abundance. You just have to tune into it, right? If they can do it, we can do it.
To be inspired.
There's nobody there's nobody that's more special on the planet. I don't care what your title is. We all have the same gifts. It's just people haven't unlocked them yet. They haven't realized how powerful they are.
Yeah.
Well, there was a great interview. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, we're going to put all the information in the show notes, your website, your Instagram, and when people can connect with you. If they want to go on a retreat in Greece or,
so nice.
or Turkey. Well, thank you very much for coming. I really appreciate it. Nice.
My honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. Blessings.
Bye, everyone. Take care.